I mean, everybody, without exception, has been absolutely wonderful, but Dr. Brown was just particularly kind and compassionate. My partner tripped over and hurt her shoulder. We didn't think anything of it because she often falls. She's very clumsy. But the next day her shoulder was hurting. So she went off to A&E in Cheltenham to have an x-ray in case she'd fractured something, which she's prone to do. Her shoulder was fine, but the x-ray picked up a shadow on her right lung, and she was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. Following her diagnosis, we were told the only initial option was to have surgery. So she had a pneumonectomy, so the removal of her whole right lung at the Queen's Hospital in Birmingham. And after that, some chemotherapy was recommended under the care of Dr. Brown, which is how we came to meet him and his wonderful team. And every time we went to see him, we had more questions for him, and he was so patient with us. I'm sure that he just needed to get us out the door so he could see his next patient, but he never ever gave us that impression. He always had time for us, was always so gentle and so kind. And I think the thing that really made me nominate Dr. Brown was I could see my partner's face visibly relax when she realised it was Dr. Brown she was going to see. So anyone who's had a diagnosis of cancer knows that every time you go to see the nurse or to have chemotherapy or to have a consultation, it's such a stressful experience. But when she would check the letter before we were going in, she'd go, "Oh, we're seeing Dr. Brown." And I could see her face relax, and I knew that was because he treated her like a person. He remembered her name. He treated her as somebody who had hopes, wishes, dreams. He thought about what mattered to her. Dr. Brown, without a doubt, is the most compassionate clinician I've ever met. He's just the most tremendous bedside manner, and that's what made the difference.
I was sectioned to, I was in AMU to start, and then they put me up on 6B. Like I was having NG feeding, and I had lots of people in the room trying to get it done. I just remember being like sat, like literally like in the corner of my bed, trying to get everyone away from me. And then Bincy came in. I don't think I'd ever really met her before, and I mean, I did actually kind of scream at her. I was like, I just want to die. So it wasn't a great fast interaction. But she literally got everyone out of the room, and then she just like was chatting to me, just like making me feel human. It, like, the feeding wasn't part of it at that point. So yeah, and then after she got everyone out of the room, I just felt safe for the first time in a very, very long time. And yeah, we managed to do the feed, and yeah, that was my first interaction with her, I think. She was the first person I've ever opened up to about what actually started off the eating disorder. She was on nights, and we just sat in the day room for quite some time, and she just got everything out of me, really. And sometimes I didn't even have to say anything, but she knew exactly what I meant, or like, I don't know, there was just that kind of amazing connection, and she just listened. What do you do, or like go to when you feel like you're wobbling? And I was like, I genuinely think about Bincy and how much she's helped me, and now it's got to the point where it's like, oh no, I can actually think how far I've come, but that's still thanks to Bincy. We just had this like amazing connection, and she like honestly saved my life. Like, I genuinely, like, and it sounds very, but I can genuinely say like I owe my life to her at this point.
I started to have slight discomfort when weeing, which is a brand new thing for me in all of my 60-something years. Never had anything. And I went to the doctor, and he gave me some antibiotics. And a week or so later, I'd taken the antibiotics and nothing seemed to be changing. So I said that these didn't work. So he said, well, try these other antibiotics, and meanwhile, we'll take a urine test. And a couple of days later, I had a call informing me that they found some blood in my urine, and that they wanted me to have a CT scan. And they said, well, we've looked at your CT scan and we found an extremely large tumour in your bladder, which is aggressive and malignant, and will need to come out. And our plan would be to take out your bladder, your prostate and some lymph nodes, which was obviously life-changing surgery. And then I went on my way and came back via Gloucester Hospital, where I first met Jo Coulson. We got talking and she invited me into the area, and it was very good. I felt that all the things I hadn't had a chance to say or process were able to be covered at a speed that I was comfortable with. And she became a fixture of our treatment. And we would be going to either Cheltenham or Gloucester hospitals. And these became sort of places of fear and distress, really. And it was a question of like, well, what awful news are we going to get this time? Or what are we going to find out? Because it all seemed to be bad news. And then we would come back and Jo would talk things through with me or with us. The main thing that she did really was to turn things around so that I felt I had agency over my own journey through the cancer. Primarily, she saw me as a person rather than a case. I can sum it up best by saying that she made us feel less powerless, because we came out of a lot of these consultations feeling, very powerless indeed, and that I was on a downward journey, and there was almost no alternative. But like I say, it felt like we were continually being given increasingly distressing news and few possibilities, and Jo was literally a beacon of empathy in the middle of all that. And she managed to slow down time, so we had the chance to talk through any worries and so on. And it felt like, she gave me so much time. And my partner was saying to me that, normally she finds me very stoical and not in the least prone to tears, but I found myself blubbing a great deal when I was around Jo, because she was touching, sort of areas that obviously needed some attention, and, bringing that stuff out. And I'm eternally grateful to her.
So Marley was born at 28 weeks. We didn't know why. He was just having heart issues in utero. And so the decision was made to deliver him. We didn't know at that time that Marley had Down syndrome. We didn't know anything. We did 7 weeks in NICU. And then we were ready for discharge with oxygen. Camilla came out. Initially, the respiratory team and a colleague of Camilla's supported us with the initial assessing your home and all of those things. But then Camilla was our nurse. She came out to us and she supported us with, what does this look like in the home? How can I make this easier for you? Right, okay, we can have a canister here and we can have a canister there if that makes life easier. You go to your mum's on a Friday, so let me give you another canister. And she really tailored it to suit us so that we could still live life as a family. She just supported absolutely everything. If we had a concern and we needed the consultant's opinion on something, Camilla was the person that would quite happily go to his consultant and say, Marley's having this problem, or the parents are suffering with this, and we'd have a response super quick. And she'd really advocate for him, for his needs, whatever he needed and what we needed as a family. She never made me feel like I was wasting the NHS's time or her time if I was concerned about him and needed to get him checked. If he was in peds for any reason, most of the time respiratory issues, he'd have an extended stay for respiratory problems, and she would come and visit him on the ward, even though she didn't have to. If she was in work that day, she'd come and see him. How are you? And just talk to Marley. And she really became such a familiar face at that time, and a friend to all of us, above and beyond respiratory. How are you doing? How are you coping? Can I help with anything? When I had the Downs diagnosis, it was here's this support group. Go and search them up on social media and put me in contact to get all of this information. She helped us navigate those first 2 years in a way that I didn't anticipate we were ever going to get there. And we did, and the majority of that was through Camilla's support. It makes me emotional because we miss her. We miss Camilla. She was an incredible support to us. and to Marley, and she listened to me as a human being, not necessarily always as a nurse with a medical capacity, but just as a, this is hard, and it's okay that it's hard. I'm super jealous that she's no longer with us, and I would absolutely welcome her back with open arms. She couldn't have been any more personable if she'd have tried. She was just incredible. She was just incredible.